Okay, so welcome everybody. My name is Eileen Merberg, Executive Director of Alpha Lambda Delta, and I want to introduce Bradley Taylor at High Point University, who will be facilitating our topic this afternoon called The Power of One, Unlocking Your Potential to Affect Change. I'm going to turn my camera off, but I'll still be here, and I'm going to turn it over to Bradley. Thank you for doing this, for facilitating and being here. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you, Eileen. Let me get the PowerPoint up and going, and we will get started today. All right, here we go. All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today. As Eileen shared, I'm Bradley Taylor. I currently am at High Point University. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself in a moment, but hopefully you have been intrigued at what is the power of one. We're really going to focus on this concept of how you or your group or your community or even your generation can unlock the potential to affect change, whether that be in your organization, maybe that's on your campus, there at your school, or maybe it's in the local community that you grew up in, or even maybe it's in your workplace. So we're going to talk about this concept of the power of one. So just to tell you just a little bit about myself, I'm Bradley Taylor, a senior success coach here at High Point University. I have the pleasure of working with some of our science majors. I've served as our ALD chapter advisor since 2016, so it's always a pleasure to see students get inducted to our chapter and get to work with our student leaders and host great programs that impact our community. I joined the National Council just last year in 2018, and it's certainly been a pleasure to serve with some amazing folks there and to continue help to guide the future of Alpha Lambda Delta. So I hope you're going to be excited for what we're presenting today. It's a big passion of mine, realizing that each one of us has something that we would like to impact or impart upon another group or change for the better. And how do we do that? So today's learning objectives for this presentation, you'll be able to walk away with an opportunity to better understand you, to better understand who you are, what your mindset is, how you approach challenges or concerns that are around you. A little bit more of an awareness of your own mindset and how that mindset impacts our actions. That could be on a daily basis. It could be in our live choices. It could also be in the choices we make within the classroom or within our organization. You also learn how to see yourself or our community of individuals in the greater world or in the greater community, and how each one individual can impact another very significantly. You'll be able to learn what I call the three basic elements to create this movement with powerful momentum. If you just break it down into those three elements, the power of one can be really, really impactful and meaningful to you. And lastly, you'll hopefully be able to learn some applications of how the power of one and this mindset can impact every area of your life, from school to your career, your family and friends, your community, and beyond, right? So let's get started. So there's really three key elements to the power of one. We're going to go through kind of some definitions of what these elements are through the presentation today. We'll hopefully be able to put that into perspective for you. So what do you think the three key elements are? Well, the first one is imagine. You have to imagine what it is that could be better, that could be different, that could even potentially be a change you want to see around you. You have to think about the lives of others and how that could be different. You have to think about how maybe the world or your community or your organization could be better. Like, what area could you focus on to have a huge impact? Remember, a small challenge could make a huge impact. Next, you have to believe. You have to have that passion and that energy to believe that you or your group can actually make change. You just have to unlock that potential, as I showed down here in the 3 keys to success, right? You have to be able to unlock your potential. And lastly, you have to act. Not only can you believe, and not only can you imagine, but you actually have to enact some sort of change. A lot of us can think about things we would like to be different. We can create a vision for what that could look like if it was different, but a lot of us choose not to act. And that's going to be the most important element today. So through your actions, you can create that change within yourself or within your community. So this is all the power of one. Those 3 elements create the power of one. So let's get started with imagine. The question I would pose to you is, how do you see yourself? How do you see the community around you? And keep in mind, that could be your campus community and the challenges that are going on within that community. That could be the world, maybe our nation and our country, any kind of challenges that are going on. And I'm not talking about politics, but it could be things that are societal issues that we could handle. It could be your Alpha Lambda Delta chapter. What are some things that you could do within that chapter to maybe change or improve or do better as you move forward? How do I see it? Everybody has a different perspective. I might see something one way, you might see something a different way. Is there something around you or in your life that you would like to do differently? I know we've all been there and said, hey, if I could overcome this obstacle, or if I could redo this, that's the one thing. I know personally, in my time as an undergraduate, I was a chemistry major. And I was great at math. I could do math problems. So that was a strong point for me. But when I took organic chemistry, I encountered a conceptual-based course that I was not used to or accustomed to. And that was something that if I could go back and redo, that would be it. I would go back and take a different approach to that class. I would dedicate a little bit more time to it. And I would hopefully surround myself by the people who were doing successful, instead of just kind of taking it on my own to try to overcome that challenge. I would surround myself with those people who could help me overcome that challenge. What legacy do you want to leave? Now, that could be a legacy in your ALD chapter. That could be a legacy in your family. It could also be a legacy in your life. Is there something that you aspire and have a vision to overcome? Maybe you're a first-generation student, and going to college is part of that legacy. Maybe you're wanting to go into the medical sciences and hopefully find a cure for cancer. Maybe you're wanting to get involved in policy, hopefully to improve something going on in our society or in our government. Maybe you're wanting to go out there and create something brand new as an entrepreneur, create a widget that the world has never seen before. So you have to have this concept of imagination, right? Just think about Walt Disney and his imagination for what he was able to create in a theme park as well as on the film screen. So speaking of films, let's think about a video clip. I love to use video clips to illustrate some points. So one of my favorite movies or films that showed come out a couple of years ago is called Hidden Figures. It's actually based on a true story about the hidden individuals within the NASA space program in the 1960s who were able to, maybe in their community, were not as well respected, but in terms of their intelligence and their passion for helping the United States overcome the space race, they were huge, impactful people. And this clip right now, it's just about 1 minute, is going to illustrate what imagination can do. So let's take a look.
What I'm asking you to do, what I'm asking everyone in that room, all my geniuses, is to look beyond the numbers, to look around them, through them, for answers to questions we don't even know to ask, math that doesn't yet exist. Because without it, we're not going anywhere. I mean, we're staying on the ground, we're not flying into space. We're not circling the Earth, and we're certainly not touching the moon. And in my mind, I'm already there. Are you?
Yes, sir.
Good.
So think about this. The quote says, "In my mind, we are already there." So the character in the film, he was leading the Space Task Group, right? Challenged to get a person on the moon. We were competing globally for this opportunity to get something, some sort of space shuttle airborne, to get it to orbit the Earth and to successfully land on the moon at some point. And they had been trying and trying different products, different math. They had been trying to even take an unmanned space craft somehow to orbit the Earth. But there were so many challenges that they were facing. And that character, he was leading this group, and he kept saying, "In my mind, we are already there." He believed, and he had that imagination that they could be there, that it was possible. They just had to figure out the steps necessary to accomplish that goal. So he had to imagine more, and he had to get every member of his team to have that same imagination. So just like the character said, "In my mind, we are already there." Do you agree? Are you there too? And the character Catherine says, "Yes, sir. Absolutely." And if you actually watch the film later on at the end, when they're actually successful at getting a man to orbit the Earth, you know, there's a comment of it comes back to the same scene where they say, you know, "I really think at this point we can get somebody on the moon." And she says, "I'm already there." So the question to you is there something manifested in your mind and you're already there? You already see that change. You already know what it is that you want to accomplish. So as we dig a little deeper into this, you have to use your imagination, not to scare yourself to death, but really to inspire yourself to live, to get outside of your comfort zone, to try something new, to push the envelope. As Ralph Waldo Emerson says, "Do not be too timid and squeamish about your actions. All of life is an experiment. You can only seize what you can see. Therefore, you must have vision. You must see beyond where you are. Are you satisfied with the present? Have you been able to challenge your thinking and the status quo? Have you been able to push beyond what is comfortable? Have you been able to push that envelope, as they say? Begin with the end in mind." You can't start a plan by just thinking about the beginning and every little step along the way. You almost have to start with the end and backtrack, thinking about all the steps necessary to get to this end game. So you have to begin with the end in mind. Albert Einstein said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." Sure, getting an education and building your knowledge and growing your mind are certainly important, but imagination is the key to being inspired, to wanting to know more, to having more of a growth mindset and an imagination that something can be different. So do you have imagination? Are you willing to imagine how things could be different? How you could impact change? Okay. Let's move on to the second key to the power of one, which is believe. One person can make a difference. One entity can make a difference. The question is that you? Are you the person? Are you a part of the organization? Are you a part of the community or the generation that will make a difference? Think about your ALD chapter. Is there some goal that you have that you want to accomplish? Maybe you would like to increase your participation at an event. How are you going to do that? So set a goal. We have to imagine, and now we have to believe that it's possible. A lot of times we sit around a table and we'll say, we could advertise differently, but, SGA is doing this and Greek Life's doing that. And, this is not a good week for those type of events, or what time of day is good. We're kind of thinking about good thoughts, but we're taking a negative approach to it. Let's think about opportunity instead of the problems in the world. So be a change maker than a change creator, or than a problem creator, right? So let's actually use a video clip to illustrate my point, and we'll talk a little bit more about believe and that passion of believing in an idea or in a change. Another one of my favorite movies, I'm a movie buff, so I have a lot of favorite movies, but another one of my most recent favorite movies is The Greatest Showman. I cannot tell you how impactful this movie can be. It brings every scene just amazing scenes and clips and inspiration for how to push forward. The main character, who is P.T. Barnum, if you've ever heard of the Barnum and Bailey circus, right? But P.T. Barnum, how he was different in his thinking, how he had this amazing imagination for what could be fun to inspire people to laugh and have fun in a time of challenge maybe, or in a time of trials and tribulations, how he thought something different could be celebrated instead of everybody being unique. So let's see a scene here. He created this museum of different things, if you will, irregularities, curiosities, as he called them. And he had had a lot of success, but he got to a point where, there was a fire at that venue, at that museum, and it began to collapse. And his vision and all that he had worked for began to collapse. But let's see how his imagination did not extinguish, how it kept fueled and fired to move forward. So let's check out that video clip.
Everyone, stay close! No, is everyone out? Is everyone okay? Yeah? The animals, get out! Yeah, we set them free. What else can we do? WD, where's Ann? Where's Ann? Where's Ann? No, Philip! No! Hey, outside! Can't go in there! Keep pumping! Here she is! Here she is!
So this scene shows how this vision and this idea is beginning to collapse. But a few scenes later, the group that P.T. Barnum has, his circus family, gathers together. They're in a little bit of mourning, but think about what inspiration they have, that imagination that they have, that they can rebuild and rethink the concept of what they've been trying to do to inspire people in this next clip.
I drank champagne with kings and queens. The politicians praised my name. But those were someone else's dreams, the pitfalls of the man I became. For years and years, I chased their cheers, the crazy speed of always needing more. But when I stop and see you here, I remember who all this was for. And from now on, these eyes will not be blinded by the lights. From now on, what's waited till tomorrow starts tonight. It starts tonight. The years promising me
So in that scene, there's a really cool quote that I like to show. And the lyrics say, "From now on, these eyes will not be blinded by the lights. From now on, what's waited till tomorrow starts tonight. Let this promise in me start like an anthem in my heart from now on." And at the end, you'll hear that they're saying, they're coming home, right? That it's not lost. They've got this imagination and this idea and this concept that it's not about fame and fortune and accolades and meeting famous people. It's about this idea and this inspiration that they're not going to be blinded by the lights or the obstacles, that they're not going to delay until tomorrow. They're going to start now. They're going to take charge and make that change occur. They're not going to create delay or create obstacles or think about the negative things that could come in the way. They're going to keep their head held high, and they're going to have a positive mindset, one that's going to push them forward. They're going to let this idea come from within and praise like an anthem that sings outside, that continues to create this passion for coming home or for making that change, that they're not going to give up. They're going to band together and to create that change that they wish to see. So the question for you from that scene is, do you have that passion? Do you have that imagination? Do you have that drive inside yourself? Or if you don't, how do you create that? How do you manifest this energy and this desire to create change? So when we think about believing, Proclus says, will is the means of power. So if we take a situation, Gary Williams, who's the head coach of UNC, one of fantastic head men's basketball coaches, he once said to his team one night during a game, "Someone nobody knows needs to step up tonight." One of his players, Chris Tucker, responded with a career-high 22 points that night. And Tucker says, "I just got it in my mind the whole night, the whole game, that I wanted to be that guy." He had that belief that he could be the person to take the team forward. He believed in himself and in his team that they could accomplish anything that they set their mind to, that they set their goals upon. And so he believed that someone could step up and step out to make that change. One person can make a difference. One organization or one group or one community can make a difference. Think about all of the significant leaders in our history. Folks like Anne Frank, Rosa Parks, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., maybe even our founding fathers in the United States who decided to create change and settle a new country. Maybe it's somebody in your life who has been a model, a mentor, and a hero. Maybe it's a professor who's around you, has inspired you to do something different and unique, to really try to challenge yourself to accomplish a goal. Maybe it's been a mentor in your community to challenge you to try a career that you've never thought of. Maybe it was somebody who inspired you to be an ALD officer and to take leadership and to embrace that, to lead your chapter to amazing things, to doing new things, right? Believing in yourself and in an idea and in an organization or a community enables us to reach for change. Do we have the power? Do we have the skills? Are we ready for change? Are we willing to change? These are all questions that you kind of have to ask yourself. You might have that imagination, as we saw in the first key. You might be manifesting and growing that belief in whatever change or adaptation or goal that you have. But the third part is key. The third part is taking the action, is actually doing something, putting it into motion. But why the word act? It could be do, it could be consider, it could be inspire. But why act? Act is so important because without action, all we have is an idea. All we have is a conversation. All we have is a goal. But when we put it into action, we're saying, I am going to achieve this. I'm going to accomplish this. We are going to accomplish this goal. We may have challenges. We may hit some roadblocks. We may have to solve some problems in the process, but we are going somewhere and we're doing something. So yes, I of course have another video clip. It's from another film that I really enjoy, from a series of films made by a kind of a film company out of Georgia. It's called Facing the Giants. And to give you a little context, there's a head football coach who has inherited this football team from a high school that they're not really good. They're not organized. The team itself isn't really motivated, and they don't have a good record, but he is determined to imagine that they can succeed and win, and he has the belief in them, and he hopes that he can manifest that belief within the players and that they can actually act upon it. So check out this clip real quick. It's a few minutes long, but I think it's well worth the time spent to really dig into what's happening with this football team.
It's not even funny, dude.
So, Coach, how strong is Westview this year?
A lot stronger than we are.
You already written Friday night down as a loss, Brock?
Well, not if I know we could beat them.
Come here, Brock. You too, Jeremy.
What, am I in trouble now?
Not yet. I want to see you do the death crawl again, except I want to see your absolute best.
What, you want me to go to the 30?
I think you can go to the 50.
50. I can go to the 50 if nobody's on my back.
I think you can do it with Jeremy on your back. But even if you can, I want you to promise me you're going to do your best.
All right.
Your best.
Okay.
You going to give me your best?
I'm going to give you my best.
All right, one more thing. I want you to do it blindfolded.
Why?
Because I don't want you giving up at a certain point when you can go further. Get down. Jeremy, get on his back. Now get a good tight hold, Jeremy. All right, let's go, Brock. Keep your knees off the ground, just your hands and feet. There you go. A little bit left. A little bit left. I bet he does it. There you go. Show me good effort.
Keep moving, Brock. That's it. That's it. That's it. Keep going. I want everything you got. Come on, keep going. It hurts. Don't quit on me. Your very best. Keep driving. Keep driving. There you go. There you go.
He's heavy.
I know he's heavy.
I'm behind strength.
Then you negotiate with your body to find more strength, but don't you give up on me, Brock. You keep going, you hear me? You keep going. You're doing good. You keep going. Do not quit on me. You keep going. It hurts. I know it hurts. You keep going. You keep going. It's all hard from here. 30 more steps. You keep going, Brock. Come on. Keep going. Burn. And let it burn. It's burning. It's all hard. You keep going, Brock. Come on. Come on. Keep going. You promised me your best. Your best. Don't stop. Keep going. Too hard. It's not too hard. You keep going. Come on, Brock. Give me more. Give me more. Keep going. 20 more steps. 20 more. Keep going, Brock. Give me your best. Don't quit. No. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. Brock Kelly, you don't quit. Keep going. Keep going. Go, Brock Kelly. You don't quit on me. No, you keep going. You keep going. Go, Brock. 10 more steps. 10 more. 10 more. 10 more. Keep going. Don't quit. Give me yours. You can. You can. 5 more. 5 more. Come on, Brock. Come on. Don't quit. Don't quit. Come on, Brock. 2 more. 1 more.
Let's go to 50. Let's go to 50. I don't have any more.
Look up, Brock. You're in the end zone.
Wow, right? The coach says to the team after that moment, he says, don't quit till you got nothing left. So just like that scene, you have to have some sort of mentor, model, or hero to coach you, to keep you motivated, right? Sometimes that's your friends, sometimes it's your family. It might be that mentor, professor, or your chapter advisor. Maybe it's, maybe it's a coach if you're an athlete, or maybe it's a minister in your church. But you've got to have that person in your corner to keep saying, go, go, go. You can do this. You've got the skills. You've got the passion. And don't quit till you got nothing left. Exert all those energies. As Brock said, it burns, it's pain, it's challenging, it was hard, it was tough. Nothing easy is ever really rewarding, right? Sometimes it takes some challenge and pain and burning and frustration, but you can make change happen. You can overcome those things. So don't quit till you got nothing left. Another part of action or acting is understanding that leadership is not about position. It's not about just telling people what to do or being the leader of the ship or guiding the organization, but it is about guiding, coaching, leading, and supporting an idea, a vision, a goal, a group of people. So leadership isn't just about sitting back on your laurels and saying, this is what we're going to do, and you need to do this, and you need to do that. It's about actually being involved, engaged, getting your hands dirty. So be a role model, set the standard. If you want to change something in your life or your community, your chapter, you have to be that person, that idea, that motivation, that energy as a role model to set the standard, and other people will follow. Other people will join you in that, or they'll support you in making a change for yourself. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. So as we think about creating movements and creating change, how can we work together and work toward the change that affects more than just a handful of people? It could be that we want to impact our family, our friends. Maybe it's our ALD chapter on our campus. Again, it could be something even larger than that. But how do we want to do that? How can we work together toward change that affects one or two people or maybe more? There's a little music video that kind of goes along with, it was made by Bombshell several years ago, and it's actually called The Power of One. But I think it's a great inspirational video to kind of sum up the imagination, believing, and acting into this thing called the power of one. And thinking about those game changers and those thought leaders who have done that before. So let's take a look real quick.
One person refused to sit on the back of the bus. She changed the ride for all of us. Oh, that's the power of one. Her diary found a light in the dark. A young girl's hope touched millions of hearts. Oh, that's the power of one. One grain of sand can turn the tide. One single spark can light the night. One simple dream, one gentle word, one act of love from someone can start a chain reaction. It all begins in the heart, in the power of one. While the others threw stones, he didn't judge. He moved the world with the strength of his love. Oh, that's the power of one. One grain of sand can turn the tide. One single spark can light the night. One simple dream, one gentle word, one act of love from someone can start a chain reaction. It all begins in the heart and the power of one.
History proves all things of value start with one person who acts to better the world around them. So as we kind of think about today's challenge, we've been able to examine ourselves, kind of what motivates us, what change we wish to see in ourselves, in our community, in our ALD chapter, maybe in the world. Where are you in thinking about that? How do you see yourself? How do you see that community around you? Do you have imagination to make that change, to keep the end in mind? Do you have the belief that you have the tools and the willingness and the energy with the people around you to accomplish that goal? And will you choose to act? We want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to be the change that you want to see in yourself and in your world and in your chapter. It's called the power of one. It's within each and every one of us. And it very simply is to have imagination, to believe in what you're doing and in yourself, and to take action. Be the change that you want to see. Take action, be proactive, be committed, be passionate. You can change anything, whether it's inside yourself, around you, or beyond, in your schoolwork, in your career, in your family. You can change things. But will you manifest the power of one that's already in you? That's the question. All you have to do is imagine, believe, and act. And that's as easy as it is. The 3 keys to the power of one. One idea, one person, one movement, one group, or one organization can actually have this huge potential to affect change. It all boils down to that. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed sharing this time and this information with you, and I hope that you'll find it very beneficial as you move forward in all of the actions in your life. So I'm going to turn it back over to Eileen, and thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. That was fantastic. Thank you very much, Bradley. Thanks everyone for joining, and keep an eye on our website for future workshops and webinars through Zoom. We'll have more posted over the summer. So thank you very much.